insight on those rising prices. Financial expert Brian Ullman joins us. So, Brian, what does the inflation rate mean for the average person?
Well, I kind of like what the story suggested here that led into this. It's higher prices pretty well across the board for people going out, filling up their gas tank, going grocery shopping, kind of doing almost anything. Different prices have gone up on different items and at different rates, but kind of across the board, you can expect to pay more for just about anything that you want to do these days.
And so why do you think consumer prices jumped last month?
Well, last month was a continuation of this trend that we've been seeing where whether it's input shortages, shipping difficulties, all of that combined with higher demand by consumers, it's this classic kind of inflation tail where we have lower supplies and higher demand. Whether it's manufacturing or getting goods to retailers, that's kind of keeping supply short, and we're seeing retail sales moving higher steadily month over month, and it's expected to continue into the holidays. So fewer supplies, higher demand equals inflation.
Yeah, so Brian, should people be worried about this? I mean, is this normal?
Well, 6% is not normal. I don't think we're in a place where we need to worry yet. Hyperinflation or stagflation or something like that might be something that would be worrisome. This is higher inflation that's really a result of the COVID pandemic and something that may last for a little while. The Federal Reserve has described this as transitory or temporary and will probably continue to last maybe at this rate until sometime early next year. And then the rate of inflation will start to slow down. I think inflation, though, is here to stay at a higher rate than something that we've become accustomed to really since 2008 and the Great Recession. For the last decade or so, we really haven't had much inflation at all. And so the fact that we're going back to having some inflation now is a change for a lot of people over the last decade.
And with the supply chain slowdowns and the prices, is this going to have any impact on the holiday season?
I think undoubtedly. You're going to see higher prices, fewer discounts. This will affect Black Friday. This is also going to affect those high demand items that people want to get. So if you're looking for specific things for Christmas shopping, you're going to want to start earlier, and you can expect to pay full price. The sales that people have become accustomed to over the years, whether it's Black Friday or the holiday shopping sales, retailers don't need to do those, frankly, because if they have the inventory, it'll move quickly without it being discounted.
And Brian, you touched on this a little bit, but expand if you can. How long do you think this inflation rate will last? And will it end suddenly, gradually?
Well, I think inflation, I think the 6% inflation rate won't last all that long, perhaps into next summer. And even then, I'm not sure 6% is going to be the rate that we keep. I think, though, as we look forward over the next 5 or so years, we could see that really high inflation rate begin to retreat down to something around 3 or 3.5%. I think investors are pricing in somewhere around a 3% average rate of inflation over the next 5 years. And that's pretty well in line with the 40-year average of about 3.5%. So that's different, though, than the last decade where we've had very little. This looks a lot like the early 90s, and I know this has been cited as a 6% inflation rate. This is the highest since then. Really what happened in the early 90s is we had that high rate of inflation and then kind of settled back in to about a 3% range in the early 90s. And that's going to cause not just prices to be higher, but probably interest rates to move up as well. And so you're going to see that those higher borrowing costs, whether it's mortgages or car loans and things like that, that can kind of cool off the economy as well. But we're running red hot. If we're having retail sales increase by 9% year over year over the holidays, inflation is a sign of an economy that has some pretty serious forward momentum to it. And so as long as we can keep inflation relatively in check, and that's usually done with higher interest rates, we should be okay in the long run.
Okay, thank you so much, Brian Ullman, financial advisor at Ford Financial Group. Thanks for joining us, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
And if you missed any part of this interview, or if you'd like more information, just go to our website. You'll find that at Your Central Valley.